Mark Grayson was supposed to be one of the most compelling young heroes in modern animation today. Season 1 gave us trauma. Season 2 gave us growth. Season 3 gave us regression. And today we're going to dive into why I think Season 3 fumbled its main character and took a major step back in Season 3. And a lot of my homies disagree with me. Here's why. Here's what I think. Let's rewind. Mark goes from a high school kid to a Viltrumite powerhouse. And then Omni-Man, his dad, reveals his true mission. And Mark is forced to confront the brutal truths about power, morality, and identity. Fantastic Season 1. But Season 2 picked up the pieces. See, Mark struggled with PTSD, responsibilities, and the constant moral challenge of being a hero. It wasn't always clean, but it was progress. Yeah, he made a lot of mistakes, sure, but he learned from them. At least I thought he did. And then Season 3 happens. Mark goes from a young man on the verge of becoming a true hero to someone who just forgets everything he learned. He's indecisive again. He's emotionally closed off, and he repeats the exact same mistakes from the earlier seasons. It's like watching someone walk in circles. He doesn't trust anyone. He keeps secrets that blows up in his face. He constantly doubts himself, but he never really reflects. So we kind of don't really get too much into his psyche besides when he was on the roof with Eve. Then that's pretty much about it, which is very interesting because he's the main character. I feel like we like more insight onto how he's thinking. And that would show through his actions, except they don't. Whoa, Mark, your little brother just murdered the Mauler twins. Surely you're going to have a deep talk with him, and this is going to lead into some kind of discussion on why heroes shouldn't kill and why they should. And instead he was like, look, don't do that. Yeah, I know I do it, but you don't. What? That's terrible. Also, before anybody mentions it, obviously I know Mark and Oliver spoke in the desert together. Yes, that happened. They had the conversation of, well, you shouldn't kill and life is precious. But that was it. That was it. It was 2 minutes of that. And then for the rest of the season, it's not mentioned. I think that was a huge mistake because when Mark murdered Levy, you felt the weight. It weighed on him. And this kid didn't feel anything. I think this was a huge missed opportunity for him and Mark to really bond. Or Mark and Oliver. Mark and Oliver to really bond. And, kind of build that connection to where he teaches him about the morals of being a human being, not a Viltrumite. Because Oliver challenged his beliefs. And they never spoke about it. So that's what I keep bringing up in this video. Hey, Mark. I know Eve is in the hospital and she's on the brink of dying, maybe. But do you think you could go out and help everyone else in the world? No, Cecil, leave me alone. Okay, I hear you. Mark, it's just, Rex meant a lot to me and, he sacrificed himself for the greater good. Oh, Eve, I hear you. That's great. How about we go make out? Let's just leave the funeral. We don't got to be here. What? So now he's just ingenuous, clueless, and just straight oblivious to how everything in the show works. Those 3 scenes alone should not have been in the show. They should not have been in this season. They were both awful and they provide nothing. And I don't want to hear this. My buddy told me human error. No one's always going to grow in a straight trajectory. What? That does not have anything to do with this. That's just bad writing for Mark. That is bad writing. Based on what he has experienced, he's just so unlikable in this season. He's so unlikable. And it sucks. It sucks that it's a huge step backwards. Now, don't get me wrong. The best part of this season was the conflict with Mark and Cecil. He was mad that he was using Darkwing and Sinclair when they've done such atrocious things. But Mark, if you are on this path to forgiving your father, who's done just as bad as them, why can't I use them to help? Mark just wouldn't budge. I really did like that dynamic of, we're exploring the idea of forgiveness, and even no matter how much a person may do right, does that allow them back into any type of society, including when Oliver and Mark were discussing about their dad, Mark was saying a lot of people hate that symbol you're wearing. A lot of people don't like dad. Oliver responded, but he's not a bad person to me. I genuinely loved that conflict of the season. That was, to me, the best part of the season, right? But the little bits in there of Mark being hypocritical, what I don't understand is, how can he not understand the gravity of certain situations by now, right? Surely by now, he should understand the gravity of a Viltrumite empire on the way to Earth to take over, right? Surely by now, he should understand the gravity of a majority of the heroes not being able to do anything if a Viltrumite comes back, and them not being able to do anything if 1,000 marks invade the planet, right? He didn't. And I'm not sure why he did it. And I'm trying to pinpoint why he did it. And the only thing I can come up with is bad writing. That's the only thing I can think of. Because I'm going to go back to that hospital scene. It does not. Mark, why would he stay next to Eve the entire time instead of helping the world? When his mom was out there and Oliver was out there fighting. There's no way he would just push his whole life aside for Eve. When they were dating, weren't they dating for like a month at this point? Only a month? A week? 2 weeks? I can't, maybe I should fact check that myself. But it didn't make sense, It didn't make sense. He was very strange this season. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. When your protagonist doesn't grow, the show feels empty. Mark was the emotional core of this show. And it feels like in season 3, he's just been bumped down to a side character in his own story. I mean, look at the other characters, Debbie is healing beautifully. Adam Eve seems to be accepting the idea of being a hero and trying to reconnect with her family and just being there for Mark. I think she was a really great character this season. Everything with Ray and Rexplode was beautiful and tremendously better than anything Mark was involved in this season. I think even Alan the alien, had a lot more growth this season than Mark, truthfully, and that sucks. That really does suck. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Am I being too harsh, on Mark this season? My buddies think I am. I really don't. I think he was a little unbearable at times in this season. And, that really sucks, especially regarding the Oliver situation. When Oliver killed the Mauler twins, I really thought Mark and Oliver should have deep dove into that and had their own arc more, but it really just that blossoms into nothing, and we're just going to forget that Oliver killed them. Hopefully they address that in the next season, but I just, I don't know. I thought they made Mark just... Let me know what you guys think.